All right, for this round, we are going to create a task that auto tags orders and draft orders with the name of the person who created them. This one is a little bit interesting because that information is not a property of the order itself, but it is available in the timeline of events that is available via the GraphQL order API. By who created them? Not totally sure what we're going to call this test just yet, but that's loosely what it's going to be called. We are going to do this with four different events. We're going to do this when an order is created. We're going to do this when a draft order is created. And we're going to do this manually, as in when somebody presses the run task button, we're going to do this in bulk for all orders in the current store. We're going to do that with bulk operations. And for that, we're going to need one more event. Bulk operation. Cool. Let's begin with the creation of an order. Let's actually begin by figuring out what GraphQL we actually want here. So for this, what I'm going to do is say, let's grab an existing order that we've already got. Let's say this one. We're going to say query order. And that was a command enter that I just did to autocomplete that. So we have our order. Nowhere on here do we have user who created the thing. So instead of that, we're going to do events. We're going to grab the first one event, and we're going to query for, I happen to know what that is called, that's all. However, it looks like I may not have been right about what that is called because we have no events yet. So let's remove that query entirely and find out what's going on here. We do have a basic event, and we're going to say, I don't know if we can attribute to the user, and we're also interested in the message for that event. I created this order. Okay, cool. I still created, maybe? Create? Interesting. Okay. I swear this used to work. Okay, cool. That's all right. We just may need to be a little bit more careful. So there are many different kinds of events that can be created, a bunch of different sorts of things. Market order as paid, the order being received, the order being fulfilled, that sort of thing. This kind of event is what I'm interested in pulling down. So what we're going to do is make sure, let's see, can we sort these? Looks like we can. Created that, yes. And we don't want to do this in reverse because that would put the oldest ones first. So notice one here. Okay, cool. So the first event that should be created is the person who created the event, based on what I'm seeing here. So let's limit this to only one. Sort key created at, perfect. Okay, cool. So this is the kind of query that we're going to be using. For reasons that I don't understand, when I run this sort of thing through the graphical app, I get back words like you when it is actually me. However, when we do this through mechanic, we'll see something a little bit different. And for the sake of testing, let's go ahead and do that. So we're going to say capture query. And for the purposes of this test, I'm only going to worry about orders. Capture query. We're going to pull in the orders, admin, GraphQL, API, ID, value. Cool. And we're going to echo the result. Action, echo, result. Okay, got a whole bunch of nulls here. That is because this doesn't actually get executed during preview mode. So I'm going to hit save. I'm going to grant a bunch of permissions. Actually, maybe just two, orders and draft orders. Few orders, drafts, yep, all of that. Let's see what happens when I actually go to create an order. Drafts. Actually, for the sake of being flexible, let's go ahead and make this work for draft orders as well. Let's see. How do I do this? Event topic contains Shopify/orders. This is force of habit. I use this kind of notation when I'm interested in everything relating to an order. In this case, we're really only talking about the create event, so I can afford to be more explicit. Draft orders create, and then we'll do this here. A little bit laggy. Okay, cool. And then let me just swap this out. So we'll say, what is that called? Is that called a connection? Is a field apparently. Okay. Okay, so we have a problem here. Oh, draft order. Is that right? 3, 5. Okay, I'm not sure what I've done wrong. So instead of this, let's echo out our query. That looks fine to me. We're missing an ID here, but that's all right. Interesting. Oh, we're missing something here. Oh, okay. It's because we've got these two scenarios here. Yep, that was it. Okay, so let's do a further guard here. If event.topic contains Shopify, and then we'll do all of this. And we will take care of our other stuff in the second pass. All right, cool. Oh, this contains Shopify right here. Okay, cool. Well, good enough. All right. We've got an echo that we can now get rid of. Okay, cool. It's kind of an awkward way to do it. Well, I reserve the right to change that later. Okay, so let's actually create a draft order. We're going to pick the first product that we've got here. We're going to pick the second product that we've got here. Add, save it, and then over here, almost immediately, we should see an event reporting that the draft order was created. That task name just is painful. Okay. Mechanic demo admin created this draft order, and that is indeed my name. I might go change my name to make that something more sane. We'll skip it. Okay. Mechanic demo admin created this draft order. Fantastic. So managing this task, we are going to say that the, here, let's grab our event data for previewing. So this comes back with something that looks like this, and we're going to pull this into the task script itself for the purposes of generating realistic actions over here. So what we're going to do after this is we're going to say if event.preview don't need this ID, so I'm going to pull that out of our test data and out of here. Okay, we have this. We'll close off this object here. We'll say okay. So we have our result that in live mode will contain the query having been shipped off to Shopify's GraphQL API, and in preview mode we will fill it in with whatever's over here. Let's replace this with something different. Sam Smith, sure. Sam Smith created this draft over. Wonderful. Okay, cool. So we've got a result that looks like that. Let's find out who the culprit is. I wonder if we can do this in one line. Object, no, result dot data, result dot data dot draft order. I can use this field thing again. Field dot events dot edges dot first dot node dot message split on the word created. And yeah, that might be our culprit right there. I'm deciding whether or not I want to pay attention to this. I think I do, just because it's there and that value isn't always false. That'll give us two signals that this is actually an event node that we care to use. So instead of this, we'll say event node equals edges first node, yep. If event node dot attribute to user and event node dot message. Okay, we'll be kinder than this. Okay, cool. If all has gone well, we should immediately see a preview action for Sam Smith, cool, but not for order, which is interesting to me. I wonder what's different about that. Oh, it's because our test data only has draft order hard-coded in. So we'll say field, and that should give us, yep, Sam Smith in both cases. Wonderful. Okay, and now what we want to do is perform the actual tagging. For that, I'm going to grab some boilerplate tagging code from our help area. GraphQL tagging, this thing right here. We actually also want to find out, well, we actually only want to tag this if it doesn't already have the tags that the tag that we wish to add. So we're also going to query for tags, and we're going to receive those here in preview mode. We're going to say, let's see. I'm thinking about whether or not I want to allow the task writer or the store owner manager to add a prefix to this tag. I'm pretty sure I want to. So we're going to say that the originator tag, oops. Here's what we're going to do, options dot tag prefix. Okay. All right. The effect of this will be to force, so how do I do this? Do we want to force a space in between the tag prefix and the name, or not? That feels like one step too many. So what we're going to do is allow whoever's configuring the task to let that be whatever they want it to be, appending the original name, and then strict white space from both sides. That part is probably not necessary if we're not thinking about adding our own spaces. So yeah, this should just be fine. So we've got originator tag here, and we can say that unless result.data field.tags contains the originator tag, we perform our tagging action. And we have our our object ID from up here. Actually, for the sake of consistency, let's continue to use this usage. And let's make things a little bit better. Assign object node equals result.data field. And we can replace this here. Okay, cool. We have some invalid liquid on line 74. Oh. Better. Okay. So we're performing a GraphQL query wherein we tag with Sam Smith. If we say this, then we get our prefix, which is as intended. Excellent. If we pretend that our draft order has, and we should really fix this. Glad I caught that. If we pretend that our draft order is already tagged with Sam Smith, then there should be no actions generated. Cool. Or if it's something slightly different, we should get our action back. Yes, we do. So let's leave that empty. If this comment doesn't contain what we think it does, then we get nothing, which is perfect. If this is false, then we also get nothing, which is perfect. Okay, sweet. I think then we are good to go. When an order is created, we tag an order. That should be a capital O. Yep. Order, draft order. Aw, really? Cute. Okay. How do I handle that? Sure. Resource type. Okay. Coming on down here. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we've got our. I'm doing something silly. I wonder what it is. Oh, field. Did I change that? Oh, I just lost it entirely, apparently. Field draft order. Okay, so we've got order, we've got draft order. Thank you for bearing with me through that little bit of awkward just there. Okay, and then finally we have this thing right here. I think that's actually going to be just fine. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we've got our situation over here. If I hit save, I'm going to need a little bit more access because now we're going to be tagging some things, and we should have a request to write order information, probably phrased as manage orders, and we wait. Yep, manage orders. We are talking about fulfillments and draft orders and all that jazz. Cool. Update. Cool. If I come back over here, then, and I create a draft order, do we this time? Because I feel like putting in a tag here, so we're going to add tag, save, and almost immediately we should see an event come in. Yep, the draft order was created, and we are tagging the draft order with mechanic demo admin. If I refresh this over here, we should see that under the tag section. And if we've done our job correctly, when I convert this to a real order, not a draft order, but a real order, yep, there it is, that should also be automatically tagged. Now that's interesting because normally when I hit mark as paid here, it would create an order but copy over all of these tags. I'm actually interested in seeing if it will create the order, if it will, what do I want to test first? Let's test it as is and make sure that mechanic decides not to tag it again because that name is already there. Manage this task, order was created, and yep, perfect. We didn't do anything. If I come back over here, actually, let me make sure I remember how we're checking on order tags. We're actually querying for them live. Okay, cool. So that means that I think that I can test this with the retry option if I just remove this right now. So now we have an order that obviously has been created but no longer has a tag. If I come back over here and hit retry, will we see that tag added? Let's find out. Yes, we will. Wonderful. I just added that retry option. It is so useful in testing. Okay, cool. So that's the easy part done. We are now tagging orders and draft orders as they are created. Let's take the next step of doing a bulk operation to find out, to enable merchants and other Shopify users to actually tag all of the orders that are already in their stores account. So for this, we're going to modify this query slightly. We're going to say orders, and for the sake of our query here, I have to add first, but our bulk operation will not need that. We're going to look at our list of edges and the node for each edge. And for that node, we will pull down all that information. Cool. So we've got a whole list of orders here. Again, I created. Not sure how that happens, honestly. But yeah, that's exactly what I want that list to look like. So we're going to pull this over here. I'm pausing because this query, bulk operation can only have a single connection at the very top, orders or draft orders, which means that we need to give people a way to choose between them. Do you want to bulk tag your draw orders or your draft orders? I don't think we can do both. I think we'll have to do one at a time. So for that, we're going to get into some more meta task configuration stuff. So right here, we can say, and we might as well allow everything to be configurable. So we'll say if options.auto tag, that feels uncomfortable, auto tag orders. Yeah, that definitely doesn't work. Okay, cool. Tag orders. Tag orders, tag draft orders, and I suppose what we could do is require the user to pick only one of these at a time, and that would result in only one of these ever running and would result in zero ambiguity when it comes time to run this. That might make for a more consistent experience than allowing both of these to happen on an ongoing basis, but require the person to only be able to do one of these at a time. I wonder how I want to do this. I think either is fine. Tag orders, tag draft orders. Or I could create two entirely separate tasks, one that does orders and one that does draft orders. That might be the most clear way to do this. Tag orders, tag draft orders. Tag orders when created. Yeah, I think I'm going to do 2 separate tasks. That will result in 0 ambiguity. Yep, we're going to do that. 0 ambiguity is good. I'm going to leave this, actually, no, I'll clean this up right now. If contains, we can simplify. If event topic equals event orders creates, and then all that can go away. Order, and that becomes simply order. Yeah, this feels good. Simple is good. Our order comes back. It is an order with a capital O. It is not a draft order. It is a order, simply. Result.data.order, and our object node is now just an order node. Okay, sweet. Awesome. Okay, so that's that. We now have this. We now need to handle the event topic of mechanic user trigger, and this is where we send or set up the bulk operation to get shipped off to Shopify, and that'll be the next thing that we handle, the return of that bulk operation. Cool. I'm going to grab some boilerplate from our help area again. Bulk operation, I think this is in the querying Shopify area, actually. GraphQL bulk operations. And then down here. Cool, so this is the basic structure that we want. We're taking our query, it's just a sample, and then we are sending it off to Shopify with the bulk operation one query mutation. Cool, so that's where this goes. Yep, new line. All right, and then our query looks like this. And with bulk operations, we don't need this parameter, and we don't need, actually am only going to keep that parameter because I am still only interested in the first one. I wonder if it will respect that or if it will ignore this entirely. I am not sure. We are going to find out. Okay, so our bulk operation runs, it comes back, and then I'm going to action echo bulk operation.objects. Okay. This will give me the array of everything that comes back from that bulk operation. When a user triggers a task, something's not right here. Oh, how did that happen? Okay, cool. So we've got our bulk operation, and then we've got an echo, which currently has null because there's actually no data currently for the preview, and we have our order created. Cool. Save, update access, because we're no longer touching draft orders. Run task, and this will ship things off to the bulk orders API. I'm sorry, bulk operations API. The action has been dispatched, or the bulk operation has been dispatched. When it comes back, we will see a children section right over here. While this is happening, let's talk about the bulk operation itself. So a bulk operation is it's Shopify's way of, it's a tool that Shopify makes available for taking a query that could run for an arbitrarily long time and return an arbitrarily large set of data. It's their way of relieving us from having to deal with all the overhead of handling something like that. They're the ones that own the database. They're the ones best suited to actually run the query. So what we're doing is preparing a query containing everything that we're interested in about our orders in this case. We are sending it to Shopify, and when they've been able to trawl through all the orders that exist, in our case, this is not many orders, it's like 7. In other cases, for stores, it can be millions. When all that is complete, it will send back an order, and that will appear right here. That was amazing. Okay, cool. So children, and here is our mechanic Shopify bulk operation event. If I click in here, we see the echo that I wrote. And these are all the objects that came back from the bulk operation. We note over here in the event data that there were 36 objects returned. Cool, so the first one is the order object. I'm noting here that I want to add the tags so I know what tags were on the order, so we'll make sure to add that in. We have our basic event, admin created this order, received new order. Okay, cool. So this is telling me that the bulk operations API did in fact ignore my first :1 query parameter. So that's something that I need to remember. Anyway, these are all basic events, and all these basic events have parent IDs of orders. So what I'm going to probably do is take our array of objects, I'm going to filter them out to just things that are attributed to users, and then just nodes that have created a new message. Same thing as we did before, more or less. Then I'll take a look at the parent order and tag it accordingly. So manage this task. Actually, for the sake of testing as we go, I'm going to grab some data right here. I'm going to grab the first 3 things here. We have an order, we have our first comment, and we have a second event that we're not actually interested in at all. Wish there was a way to filter that out. I wonder if there is. Okay. So right down here, if event.preview okay, and I'm remembering that I wanted to add tags into the order data we get back. So this will also come back with tags. JSON doesn't have trailing commas because here's our event, here's our parent. We created it from a draft order, perfect, and we are not at all interested in this one. Hopefully we'll be able to filter it out. I know we'll be able to filter it out. Cool. And capture, and then we'll put this into our bulk operation object. Assign. Cool. Okay. If I've done my job right, our preview for the bulk operation should now contain everything that's currently in bulk operation objects. This is exactly what we want for testing things using preview as we go. So what we're going to do here is say, how do I want to do this? Assign event nodes equals bulk operation. Okay, I'm going to add in one more thing to our query. I'm going to say, actually, no, never mind. So here's what I was going to do. I was going to say that I was going to ask for type, nope. Wait, really? Does that not work? Huh. I wonder why that didn't autocomplete. That's very interesting. So if you ask for the type name, then we have things like order and basic event. And what this allows us to do is filter our array of objects very quickly by just saying something like bulk operation dot objects where type name. Oops. Well, anyway. I am actually going to do this because I really prefer that usage anyway. It allows us to very quickly filter through the set of objects that we want. So type name, and I know what these values are going to be. Oh. We could achieve the same result by querying within here, but we can do it in a single liquid filter if we do it this way. Oops. Cool. For example, event nodes, event.objects where down here. Now we just have our two different nodes being echoed. Perfect. Now we need to filter them for just the ones that contain created. So what we're going to do is do our for loop. For actually, we also need to, or are able to, filter out things that are not attributable to a user. So let's get our echo back. And yep, we only have a single one here. That's perfect. So let's bring this back. If event node.comments content message. Our final test, filter out everything that doesn't include that string. And then we can grab we can start grabbing code from right here. Okay. And the indentation level is even the same. Wonderful. Okay, originator, event node.message, split created. We are prepending tag prefix first, and then we are appending the originator. Unless order node.tags. Okay, cool. So here's a neat thing in mechanic. I can do event node.parent and __ parent, and with a live event that will just work. That won't work here because we are creating plain vanilla hashes out of JSON, and there isn't a parent that's associated. There isn't a parent value for free. That's something we actually need to specify. So what I'm going to do is fake the thing that mechanic will do automatically and put this in here next to the parent ID. Again, this value is something that mechanic will not fill in, but make available automatically. You're able to do __ parent on anything in a bulk operation object set, provided it actually has a parent ID defined. Cool. So this looks a little bit weird, I grant you. This is the best way that I've found to set up this test data so that it A, works, and B, reflects what mechanic will do in live mode. Moving on. So unless the event's parent, which is an order, unless the order tags contain the originator tag, we will perform the actual tagging. And because we're going to have to reference this twice, I'm going to create a dedicated variable for it. Order node equals event node. Okay, event node.parent. Okay, excellent. And for, cool. So we should see a tag for mechanic demo admin coming through here. Phenomenal. Let's update that data to make it resemble our other example. Okay. Lovely. Sam Smith. And if I fill in a tag prefix, we see that here. Excellent. If we pretend that our parent order has that tag already, so far we're ignoring that because it was wrong, but if that's there, we lose that entirely. Fantastic. If this message is not what we expect it to be, nothing happens. If it's not attributable to the user, nothing happens. Great. Okay. I think that we are set. So let's save this. Let's ditch that prefix. Say run task. we'll ship that GraphQL query off. And while we are waiting for this, let's review this. Just a quick spell check. So the first thing that we're doing occurs when an order is created. We're using GraphQL, using the API ID, GraphQL API ID for that order, pulling down the first message. We are using preview mode to generate some result data that resembles what we'll actually get in live mode. Assign that to the result variable. And then right here, I didn't even mean to do this, but we're using our variable names, which is good. It means it's a consistent pattern and we can use it more than one place, as it should be. We have our order node and our event node. If it's attributable to a user, which is what we want. The alternative to this is it attributable to an app? And if both of those things are false, I don't know who it would be attributable for or to. That's okay. So if it's attributable to a user, if the message contains created, that needs to have a space on the other side. Originator is what happens on the left-hand side of created. The tag is created by the originator plus the prefix, and then we tag unless that tag is already in place. Perfect. For our bulk operation, we are pulling down the type name, ID, and tags for the order. This doesn't actually get used, so I could ignore it, but for the sake of parallel structure, I'm going to keep it. There's a balance between keeping things parallel so that you don't have to look at it twice and think twice, and not keeping things parallel for performance reasons. Right now, I'm going to err on the side of keeping things consistent, realizing that a more discerning follow-up developer might look at this and say, why did that happen? Executive decision, I'm going to keep it. So we're looking for the type name, ID, and tags. Same thing for our event nodes down here, except not tags. We're looking for attribute to user and message. And I know that gets ignored, so I am going to remove that because I know that it gets ignored. We send off our bulk operation, and then when it comes back, we receive a set of objects that resemble this. Again, this structure right here is something the mechanic makes available automatically. But since we're reconstructing our bulk operation objects from plain old JSON, I'm putting that in so we can use it. And then right here, we pull out our event nodes by filtering our objects for basic events that can be attributed to a user. We loop through them. Unless it's a created message, we continue to the next thing in the chain. We find our originator, we construct our tag, we locate our order, and we tag it unless the order has already been tagged. Perfect. Save that because we made a couple tweaks. Gonna go back here, and we just did a bunch of tagging. Mechanic demo admin, mechanic demo admin. Sweet. We are good to go. So the next thing that I'm going to do is prepare a copy of, first I'm going to decide on a better name for this. And then I'm going to create a copy of this that works with draft orders, but it'll be exactly the same. It's just that instead of orders, it'll be draft orders, and same thing everywhere else. It'll be a glorified search and replace. And then we'll put this into our public library on Mechanic. Awesome. Thanks for watching. Have a phenomenal day. Cheers.